and aloha. My name is Calvin Griffin. I host a program here on Ōlelo called the Hawaii Bulletin Board Program. And recently I came across a phrase that I heard, and it got me to thinking about how much Americans love phrases. And there's a couple I want to share with you right now. One, like I say, a lot of times through our history, a lot of people pick up on a lot of things that really get our patriotic hearts pumping. One is, remember the Alamo. Very catchy. I wasn't there, but I remember the phrase. Nowadays, with the pandemic going on, there's a lot of things that's happening. People are questioning some of the narratives that are coming down, and rightfully so. This is a country that has been founded on freedoms, information, and we have the right to ask certain questions. With the pandemic, it seems that there's a lot of our elected officials who have taken the opportunity to use this for different means. And it's just like the pandemic has become like a wet blanket across the United States. And basically what it's doing is smothering transparency and also some of our civil liberties and freedoms. This is not the way it's supposed to be. We had, of course, with the pandemic, it's something that's really serious. It needs to be taken seriously. But it's taking a different turn. We have individuals who are in positions of responsibility and power who seem to, for whatever reason, decide that they are going to start making all the changes, and it is definitely affecting our freedoms. But there's one phrase that a lot of people have heard before, it became very popular, is never let a good crisis go to waste. And apparently that's what they're not letting this go by. And again, it's not all of our politicians. We have a lot of very serious and very effective leaders who are trying their best. But again, in general terms, there's a lot of things that need to be addressed and need to be talked about in a very open and honest way. And one thing that they do tell us is to follow the science. It seems to be convenient when you have certain things, a narrative that's followed, and we're supposed to follow this to the letter. But we have some officials here in the state of Hawaii that have been presented with information about certain technologies that will be able to limit or, let's say, speed up the process as far as detecting anyone that may be affected with the COVID virus. And for whatever reason, they seem to be ignoring it. And this has having a definite impact on our state because, for one thing, we're still closed down. I mean, we still have a lot of limitations on what we can do and what we can't do. And they say follow the testing or do the testing. But with technologies that we have nowadays, there is the possibility of opening things up a little bit further, being less intrusive with our freedoms. And again, we have individuals who are in positions of responsibility who are not listening to the science because it doesn't fit their narrative. If we're all in this thing together, we need to do things that really are beneficial to all of us. And if you have an agenda, if you're an elected official, that's not the way it's supposed to be. And the thing is, I don't speak Latin, but one of the words or phrases I came across was "que bono," or basically who benefits, With all these different things that's going on out here with the testing sites and everything else, if there are technologies which are able to go ahead and detect within a matter of minutes certain pathogens or cut down the cost from a couple $100 or $100, whatever it is, like say currently for the testing, and you can do it for 25 cents or less, then again, the question is who benefits from this thing, And again, not to go ahead and question any of I am. Yes, I am. To question some of the motives of some of our elected officials, what's going on here, And the old saying is follow the money. And you don't want to believe, like say we have individuals who are sitting in positions of power and responsibility who are not looking out for the public good. But as a citizen and someone, and I'm quite sure there are quite a few out there that ask the same questions, what is going on? Why is it taking us so long to get back into our regular lives? It's never going to be regular again, that's for sure. But at least what we need to do is, like I said, be able, if there's things that we can do to mitigate or to cut down on the intrusiveness of some of the policies that's put in place, then we as a people need to do that. And at this point, the only thing I'm asking you currently, just to think about it. Now, taking a phrase from our elected officials. But thank you very much. God bless. The most important freedom to me is free speech. Without free speech, we cannot really articulate our thoughts. We can't interact with other people because a lot of times we don't necessarily agree with someone else. But as long as the lines of communications are open where we're able to talk about certain things, we have a reference point. We know where the other fellow stands and basically where we stand with him. And I think that that's very important nowadays because the way things are going, can't really rely on news sources anymore to give us a so-called straight story. And the only way to really get a gauge on what's going on within the community, again, is that free speech, being able to speak your mind without worrying about being ridiculed or threatened in any form or fashion. Because without that, everything else falls apart. So again, for me, being able to speak my mind, and again, as long as it doesn't impact anyone else in a negative way, I believe that, again, that's the most important thing that I try to live by and try to support, and I encourage anybody else to do the same. Again, people may not agree with you, but at least they'll know where you're coming from, and you have a point of reference. So keep speaking your mind. Do what you need to do to communicate. Like I say again, this doesn't infringe on anyone else's rights or beliefs, but again, we need to practice that as much as possible and encourage others to do so. And that's what I do.